And welcome everybody to another beautiful episode of Nothing Like a Good Book. I want to thank all the people that have been sending me emails and writing in. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. I've got a special one today. I know I say that all the time, but they're all different, aren't they? A story of betrayal, infidelity, and love. Oh yeah, here we go. It's a chilling mystery, though, by psychotherapist Laurie Elizabeth Murphy. Now, this is what happens during a marriage when an unexpected event makes even the most well-traveled path become unexpected and unmanageable. My author guest for this episode is a registered nurse and psychotherapist, Laurie Elizabeth Murphy, who draws from her own experience working in the field to create a uniquely intellectual, it's an entertaining mystery in her new book, Dream Me Home. It follows Peggy Prescott, a woman who on the outside seems to live the perfect life. However, when poor old Peggy's found dead, suspicions turn to those closest to her as her secrets are revealed. So, after a home robbery, Peggy is left a shell of her former self. And as her marriage falls apart and her paranoia of those around her increases, she finds herself escaping to the world of her dreams. And it may be closer to reality, though, than she thinks. Folks, this book is a tale of love and tragedy with twists and turns at every page. What say you, Laurie Elizabeth Murphy? Welcome.
Well, thank you. Hi, Mark. Thanks so much for having me on your show. Well, what say I is this is probably a book like most have not read before. I did the best I could. I've been a reader my entire life, and usually there are great plots, and I'm disappointed by the lack of substance of the characters, or there's really fabulous characters, and then I'm left thinking, yeah, I know, but the plot was easily seen in the beginning, and I don't like that. So I struggled really hard to make these characters people you love to love or love to hate, with the plot so twisted and turned you don't see it coming until the last page.
Interesting, yeah. So we're talking about Dream Me Home, folks. Dream Me Home. Now, in fact, here's what your old friend Grady Harp has to say. He gives it 5 stars. Murphy has composed a complex, highly original mystery related through the eyes and mind of one Peggy Prescott, who delivers clues to her own murder, beginning from her entrance into this novel in a hearse. Not many start with that way, do they?
No.
Now, of course, you know, Grady's an Amazon top 100 Hall of Fame reviewer. So that's the first one. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I was very pleased with that.
All righty. Now, Laurie, Dream Me Home it is about characters that are real and face real dilemmas, and they make irrational decisions, even with the best intentions, don't they? And they cannot always control the outcomes of the most well-planned lives. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
It's a fair assessment, and isn't that really all of us? Don't we, most of us, have the best intentions gone awry, and we have to keep picking up the pieces and re-figuring out the path we're on, because we finally figure out at a certain age we honestly don't really have any control over our lives. We do the best we can. And in Peggy's case, she knew exactly what happened to her because she's narrating this story from the grave. And there she has a 360-degree view where most characters don't. She knows the ins and outs of everybody in this book.
Yeah, I mean, Flying Books reviews, here's their point of view. It's another review. Now and then, along comes a mystery novel that dazzles, not only as a captivating probe following the clues of a crime, but also as a sensitive examination of marriage and love. Dream Me Home is that unique success. Woo!
Yeah, I'm happy about this, and no one's more surprised about this book than I am, I have to say, because I knew, I don't outline my stories. I knew basically how I wanted this to be. I started out thinking it was going to be a love story.
Mm-hmm.
Then my character, Peggy, surprised me when she refused to say, wait a minute, I may end up there, but let me just tell you how this happened. And how it happened was a lot of events that, honestly, even as an author, I would be shocked. I'd come downstairs and I'd say to my husband, you would never believe what happened to Peggy Prescott. And he would say to me, because he wasn't really thrilled with the fact that I was taking up my time writing, he'd say, but you're the author and you must know. And I said, no, I really didn't know until tonight. And so
that's unusual, isn't it? Mm.
It's a character-driven book. The characters take me on the journey with them, and they knew what they were doing.
Well, whether you're a regular listener, follower to Nothing Like a Good Book, or maybe you just found us, press the button. I'm having a chat with Laurie Elizabeth Murphy, who's an experienced writer, but a brand new book is called Dream Me Home. It's a story of betrayal, infidelity, and love. It's a chilling mystery, really. But the thing is, she's a really, really retired now, but, a fair income, as we say in Australia, real, true, no crap. She is a real psychotherapist, okay, nurse. And so, she's talking about experience here and going back on experiences. Would it be fair to say, Laurie Murphy, would it be fair to say that your passion and, expertise shine throughout Dream Me Home? I mean to say your insights on psychology, relationships and individuals, it does make this a truly unique read. I mean, I would think anyone who likes a good murder mystery, and that includes me. My mum had every Georgette Heyer book mystery you could think of. Some people love their murder mysteries. This would go up the top for them. I mean, I think you'd love this book. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I think that would be fair to say. This is sort of the blueprint. I was a therapist for 38 years. So you can imagine during that time, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories. Mm. And just when you think, well, I've probably heard them all, somebody walks in and you go, wow, I didn't know that twist, or I didn't see that turn. So it's not any one patient that I came in contact with. It's all of them. They all took up residence in my mind over 38 years. And so the characters that are in here, there's detectives, there's a psychiatrist, there's a friend, there's a man who is unnamed. He's called the Man. All of these are basically given to me by my patients without me knowing I was really paying that much attention. But they all showed up in this book.
Wow. I hope when you sell 1 million of it, you're going to split the profits with them all.
I should.
I must mention here that John Kelly from the Detroit Free Press, his opinion is, keep an eye on Laurie Elizabeth Murphy. She has crafted a romantic thriller like no other, no doubt incorporating her many years as a psychotherapist into this spellbinding novel. Not bad from old Jono there, Laurie.
No, it was terrific. It was really terrific. I'm so thankful for all the support and encouragement that I've gotten. And now the characters really are they're like people you think you know or you do know. Mm-hmm. And even after the book was finished, and the ending is very clear-cut. I don't like an ending of a book where you just go, well, so that's it. So the ending was clear-cut, but there's 2 ways it could have gone. I chose one way. And some of my readers said, yeah, but couldn't it have been this also? Yeah, it could have been. It's up to you, which makes it even better because people are talking about it and thinking about it. But the ending, honestly, is written in plain sight in the beginning. No one so far that I've spoken to saw the ending until they got to the ending. So
that sounds Irish, I tell you. Dream Me Home. It's a paperback at $14.98. That's not a lot of dough these days. Make a nice gift with what's coming up. And it's also on Kindle, by the way, at only $9.49. Book Baby. It's available on Amazon. The author's website, in fact, the https ... jazz, but www.lauriemurphy.net. Interesting.
Yes.
You couldn't get .com, huh?
Not with my name. I guess it was taken, but
Yeah.
there's buttons right on there. It tells you everything about me and my biographies and what I've done before and all of that. But there's buttons on there for Amazon Books or Barnes & Noble, and you can just simply touch the button and it takes you right to the link to order the book.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah. Yes. Well, on my site too, markbishopmedia.com, your bio's all up on that and a lovely photo of you. And, of course, all the links for it. And so people have got another way to do that. And, of course, the podcast itself goes global. So you never know who hears the thing. Oh, boy. Okay. Why did you choose to tell this story through Peggy's perspective?
Peggy has never forgotten her first love. Peggy, as most of us, haven't forgotten our first love. But she was married. She had a successful marriage. She was married to a very renowned plastic surgeon. And from the outside looking in, everything was going her way. But, in all of marriages, there was always like a little crack. And sometimes that crack is glued together and we just go on. Yeah. And sometimes that crack keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's always an event that pushes it over the top. In Peggy's case, there was a robbery, and that pushed it over the top because she got to look at her husband in a different way. Hang on.
Well, just explain that a little to me. What do you mean a different way?
Well, when we're busy with either a job or raising children, or we've got social events and friends and all that, we tend to gloss over and just do the tasks. We do the housework, we go to the grocery store.
So it's like taking it for granted sort of thing. That's what you mean. Okay.
But when she had to recover from this invasion, she had time to think and time to really ask herself the questions that we don't like to ask ourselves.
No, it's not fair to the old man either, if you ask me.
That's true. Are we really happy? Is this what we really thought it was going to be?
Yeah.
And maybe we're longing for the feelings we had with the first love, but is that even fair? Because, here we have a wonderful man who's providing for us. Why are we even thinking about somebody who maybe, in fact, turned out to be no good?
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah, see, that's life, isn't it? That is life.
It is
brought
life.
Up in different ways. I come from the 50s, 60s era, and what you've got there is the way I was brought up is that, you marry for life one time, boom, boom. Mind you, I didn't get married till I was 47. But at the same token, it's like a heavy metal on your shoulders all your life if things don't go right.
But I think back in those days, you married for life and you also knew ahead. You were realistic. There's going to be ups and downs, but you saw your parents and your grandparents go through things and they made it work because they banded together. This is a disposable society now. And we're quick to say, I'm tired of that couch. I don't feel like doing this. My dishes are boring. I don't like my husband anymore. That's where we've come, unfortunately.
Hang on. Is that menopause or is that just what?
I think it's just instant gratification. We just turn on the TV and we have 300 and maybe 700, maybe more channels. Or we go to the computer and we're like, look, it's taken all these seconds. I need to get a quicker Wi-Fi. No one has patience anymore. And I think that's the crack. That's the crack in marriage.
All right. You're very good. You're not a bad psychotherapist. Why don't you come out of retirement? Let's do a podcast together where people can, perhaps dial in and talk to you live on air. How about that? That'd be good.
Well, that'd be good.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. Mysteries are often filled with surprises. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
Did you have the ending, planned out ahead of time, or did it develop as you went? And were there, like specific twists that you knew you had to include?
Okay. I'm going to tell you a public secret now, which is...
Woo! You're hearing it first, ladies and gentlemen, on Nothing Like a Good Book, all right?
Some authors make outlines. I've read thousands of books on how to write, but the fact of the matter is you either write from your heart or you don't. And all I knew was I wanted it to be a character who longed for her first love. I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't know the ending. I didn't know if they were going to get together. I didn't know any of that. But as I brought in more characters, honestly, they took me. I go back now and I read some of the pages and I'm like, I have no recollection of writing some of this stuff. These characters brought me. It's like I breathed life into them on the page. I know this sounds crazy. And they decided where they were going. So each twist and turn was not my invention. They found the speed bump. They took the different path. They brought me along. And when I tried to make it the way I wanted it to be, we call it writer's block. They weren't going there. They would not move because they knew where they had to go. And at the end of the story, I thought, well, okay, now we're done. And I was happy. I wrote a good book. But my readers have said, yeah, but whatever happened to this character? Whatever happened to Rob? Whatever happened to Dr. Sherman? And I'm like, I don't know, because it was fiction and it's over. And they're like, no, I feel that because the characters made you think you knew them. So guess what? I decided, well, if you really want to know what happened, I guess I better write a sequel. So that's what I'm doing now.
Oh, you're all right. You got that in. I was going to ask you that. But, a major part of this book and mysteries in general, it seems it was making everyone look suspicious.
Yes.
What was writing that like?
Well, when you meet somebody, it's called, in psych terms, it's called transference and countertransference, meaning you either immediately have an opinion about somebody, you like them or you don't like them, they remind you of somebody, maybe you don't know who they remind you of, but that's called transference. The person on the other side who's meeting you for the first time also forms an opinion about you. So in this book, you will form opinions about characters that you really like and then find out later, wait a minute, there's another side to them. Or people that you didn't like and you think, but there's always a redeeming quality, isn't there? So we take the look at the whole person, not the first glance of the person. And that's the psychological aspect. We get into their brains.
Laurie, I want you to be honest with this question.
Okay.
Did you have any ideas for this book that was scrapped? And if so, why?
I threw everything away on a regular basis. I would write, maybe 4 or 5 pages. I'm not a disciplined writer. I'm just going to say that now. It took me 3 years to write what I probably could have written if I was disciplined in less than 1. But I would write something and I'd think, I was just so happy with myself, like, oh, this is fabulous. And I'd put it away for a couple weeks and I'd write it. I'd read it again and I'd think, this is garbage. What was I thinking? And I'd extract maybe 2 or 3 sentences and think, all right, let me start again. There is nothing in this book that hasn't been discarded 100 times. And I am not a perfectionist. I don't really care much about anything other than nursing, which I loved, and writing. Writing to me means I don't want to waste the reader's time. If they're investing their time in reading a book, I want it to be the best book they've ever read.
You've written mostly nonfiction in the past. What made you decide to write a fictional mystery?
I really want to thank my parents who, of course are deceased now, for this, because they tortured me as a child by forcing me to read a book a week in my own home.
Oh,
and then
aren't you lucky? Aren't you lucky?
Stand up and give a book report on a Friday night when my friends were going to the movies. I had to do a book report. So I got into really understanding these lives are taking you into a special place in books. The characters may not be real, but you live somewhere else for the time you're in the book. And so in my mind, I always had stories going on, but I was so busy. I was either nursing or raising my children or, doing therapy. But even in movies, my friends would go, oh, yeah, as a teenager, hey, we're going to go see this movie or that. And at the end, I would go, yeah, it was a good movie, but don't you think if they had changed the character to this, or don't you think the ending could have been? And pretty soon they were like, don't invite Laurie because she's going to ruin the movie for us. I never stopped writing in my head. So now I'm retired and I have 3 books in my head. Well, the sequel makes it 4, and I just want to write them.
Oh boy, I hope you come back to me on the sequel. I really do. That's going to be good.
Okay.
Was anything in this story, Laurie, inspired by real life events or people?
Yes, I have to say. I wasn't going to really say it, and then I decided, well, why not? I had 2 very good marriages. My husbands are deceased now, but I never forgot my first love. And occasionally and he had 2 marriages. Occasionally we would talk maybe once or twice during the year, nothing romantic, but for 55 years, we stayed friends on the phone. Occasionally, sometimes we'd miss a year or whatever. But all of a sudden we reconnected And even though he's not the same person, I hear the same voice and I know that what's in there. So I've evolved as a person and went back to when I was 20 years old. He's evolving as a person and realizing he lives in the woods with a dog and realizing, I don't know why I've made my life so solitary when I could be with her. So we'll see what happens, but it looks promising.
I want to ask you a question now, as a psychotherapist. All right.
Yeah.
And an author. I've been to a couple of, based on what you just shared, you see, I've been to a couple of funerals over the last couple of years of friends who have died. Their wives have met other company.
Yes.
And they're going to marry them. But I just feel my buddies are still warm in the grave. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think some of that comes from loneliness and not being able to be in your own skin. I mean, I'm sort of I wouldn't say I'm a loner because I certainly have a lot of friends, but I am happy to be at home alone. I'm happy to be in my own company. I have a lot of hobbies. I paint, I write. I'm happy like that. I know a lot of people that are desperate for somebody in their life. I don't know anything other than to say it must be loneliness, or they were never really happy with themselves and now they have to sit and think about their own character traits and maybe they don't like them. I like who I am. So I can't understand it. I don't know why everybody's rushing to find a partner. If it wasn't for this man that I never stopped thinking about, I would have no desire to be on a dating site. People have tried to fix me up with people that they know. It's too much effort at this age to start over and explain everything about you, everything about your children.
Right.
It's too hard to me. It's too hard. But, that's just me. Some people want company. I like to be alone at night and watch TV.
Yep,
So
there's something in that in what you're saying. Now, Laurie Elizabeth Murphy, what audience do you really want to reach with this book?
I thought originally it was a book that more women would want to read than men, but if you go on my reviews on Amazon, it's more men than women. And I was really surprised. I listed this as a romance thriller, and apparently it's not. It's a psychological mystery thriller. I mean, I must have missed the boat somewhere. So men are picking this book up. And I'm happy about that. But it's anybody who likes a mystery, who wants to try to figure out how did this happen? How could this possibly have happened? And then wants to be able to discuss the ending and decide if they like the ending or they would have done it a different way.
When I first started researching you in this book, the name threw me a little. It wasn't something normally that would jump out at you. I had to think about it. Dream Me Home. Touch on that for a moment.
Well, that's the controversy of the ending. There are some people who believe in parallel universes, in being able to time travel or being transported. This is a down-to-earth book with a little touch of that toward the end. And so the Dream Me Home was she was having dreams, and no one knew if they were real and was she being transported at the end, or was this simply an effect of over-medication? And you will have to decide. You'll have to decide.
Fascinating. All right. I'll eat that. I'll stay with that. Now, do you plan on writing more mysteries in the future? Why or why not?
I was a big Agatha Christie fan growing up, and I didn't know a lot of things. In fact, I can't believe at this age I'm finally figuring out there's a lot out there that I have no idea. Maybe I have no common sense. I don't know. When I read books, I loved them, but I didn't know somebody wrote them. I couldn't figure out, why don't I just become a writer? So I went the other route and did science and all of that. But I'm a writer at heart. So am I going to write mysteries? Yeah. I didn't know I liked to write a mystery, but it's great to not know where this is going, but you have to tie up these loose ends somewhere because nobody wants something that's unfinished. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle, which P.S. I hate to do, but it's like a puzzle. You have to fit the pieces in, and it really is a cerebral thing where you have to go, okay, I don't want to make this something that the readers aren't going to like or understand. It has to be down to earth, but there has to be like a jump from A to B. It can't just be a line where everybody gets it. I want people to not get it until they go, oh, I should have seen that.
No, fair enough. Yeah, you know, when you said that, you just gave me a heck of an idea. Like, write a book, but don't finish it, and have people write in to finish it.
You know, that actually is a good idea. I used to do in hotels. I would always leave a book in a hotel, and I'd start a story, and then I'd leave it on the desk and say, if you're the next guest, why don't you add to it? And then let it go on and on and on. I have no idea whether that ever happened or not, but I always at least started it.
Okay. The book is called Dream Me Home. Paperback?
Paperback.
Kindle. Yes, Kindle.
Kindle. Yeah.
Book Baby. How does Book Baby do for you?
Book Baby was excellent. I decided my other books were published by a publisher. This is self-published book because I didn't want anyone to change anything in my book at all. And if you give it to a publisher and you're accepted, which is a wonderful thing, but it's usually 2 years in the making, which I didn't have that kind of time. I wanted it out. And they tend to want to add something or take something away or change a character, and my characters are perfect. So I couldn't do that. So I went to Book Baby and said, I want to publish my book. It's written. Here's the manuscript. I had an editor, not with Book Baby, the outside editor, and she found mistakes that I couldn't find in grammar. But the characters themselves are exactly who they are. And why wouldn't they be? Because they lived on the pages.
Yeah. And now you can buy the book directly off your website too, correct?
No, you can go through my website to get to Barnes & Noble or Amazon.
Oh, okay. So you link off from that way.
Yeah, I don't sell it myself, no.
Right. Is that sort of a condition when you write with a publisher today, or how does it work?
No. Well, for me, I could do whatever I wanted. I can sell these. I can change the price of these. I can do whatever I want. But I'm not in the money-making game. I know that sounds not right, but I just want people to love my work. I mean, of course, I need to have money to continue writing and pay my bills, but that's not the incentive. The incentive is, please love what I'm saying.
Ah, now as you're lying there on the couch, I am going to give you the synopsis of this particular session.
Okay.
And that is, yes, you love living alone. Yes, you could be alone at night and quite happy, and you don't need a man in your life.
Right.
But you do want thousands to love you with your book.
I want thousands to love my characters and therefore know my name so that they're hoping.
That's the distinction. Book. Love your characters, right?
And know my name so they'll look for my next book.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're quite clever. All righty. Well, I think it's, what have we got coming up that would make this a nice gift, do you think? What have we got coming? We've got Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Anytime you're invited to a party, people always tend to bring wine to a party or a little hostess gift if you're going to somebody's dinner. Bring this book. Bring the book because, first of all, wine sits on the table with the other 20 bottles of wine that everybody's brought and nobody remembers. But this book will resonate in the minds of people that get it. And hopefully they'll say, I love this book and thank you so much for bringing it to me. I would have never found it otherwise.
What a good idea. Take a book instead of booze.
Yes.
What a darn good idea. That's thoughtful in its own right, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's very thoughtful. The book is Dream Me Home. You heard it here on Nothing Like a Good Book with Mark Bishop. Laurie Elizabeth Murphy was the writer, the author, and the marvelous marketer. She's a retired what's the other part of it? The psychotherapist. Oh dear, Mark, you're a nut. Okay, and it can be bought everywhere. And I tell you what, it's massive. I'm excited to finish it, to be honest with you, but I'm going to give it to my wife, and she's going to enjoy this. I think she likes, because if we watch a movie in bed or if we watch a serial, she's gone to sleep. We go to bed early, 9:00 at night, because I'm up early working. With the exchange of times and things across the country, But she's gone, and I sort of continue on. But I think, if she gets a good book, she's right.
Well, I wrote this book actually in scenes, so I'm hoping maybe, you never know. I mean, anything's possible. Maybe somebody will read it that knows somebody that's in the movie business, because it would make a great movie.
Well, there you go. I just so happen to have a movie company with a couple of fellows, and we're starting off with short films, but we're not. I don't know if we're ready to do this, but we'll have a chat about it. Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. And Mark, thank you so much for having me.
All righty. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. A story of betrayal, infidelity, and love. So what's new, huh? Life all over. But it's a chilling mystery. And it was written by a psychotherapist, Laurie Elizabeth Murphy. All right, you're going to love it. I guarantee it. Okay? All right. Join me again, won't you, for another Nothing Like a Good Book? And I'll see you soon.